Well,
sounds like Rod Serling's funeral dirge.
Welcome to the Twilight Zone of this episode, the Dynamite ratings review. If this is a review,
we're later than normal. We're reviewing the ratings. We're recapping and we're not recanting the ratings. We're relaying the ratings. And later than normal because it was a holiday before the program. So they were late after the program. We don't understand, but here we are.
We believe that's the reason. Actually, we're not even exactly certain, but we are here, and
here I sit, waiting for you to reveal this information to me. Much like Karnak the Magnificent in his questions, I have no knowledge.
You have no knowledge. Yes, that's correct.
Hey,
what?
Don't put a period there. That was a comma.
Oh shit!
I have no. Well, oh shit, that's an exclamation point, but. I have no knowledge or forethought of what you're about to reveal to me, and we're going to go through this, and all you have an element of glee in your voice is all I can tell.
Well, I was eating popcorn. That's what you maybe just hear the popcorn in my teeth. It's still in my teeth.
So it wasn't you being gleeful. Your mouth was just popping.
That's right. I was
randomly.
I decided to eat popcorn in advance of this review. Jim, before we get to AEW Dynamite, just because we've talked about it the last few weeks, important to note here, NXT. On the USA Network, June 18th, 2024, 724,000 viewers on average.
And that ain't bad for NXT is on a little roll here.
They are on quite a roll. They're well above their trend line. The last 3 weeks have all been high. Who was on this episode? Joe Hendry?
He's a nice young man. I'm glad to see he's doing well.
Well, I know that they're good on social media, but in terms of bouncing the number, he was in the opening thing here. A lot of the women who just run around with the fakest names of all time. It's like they're working at a club in
I thought you meant a lot of the women were watching the show because Joe Hendry, he is quite a looker, ladies.
I was talking about I don't know what you're on with Joe, I was going to say Joe Nathan. Joe Henry.
Joe Namath?
No, not Joe Namath.
That's his new gimmick, Broadway Joe Hendry. He's moved from the United Kingdom to the United States, and now he's a New Yorker, Broadway Joe Hendry.
Ethan Page was again on the show, Trick Williams, and the usual stars. So this says something. Again, no strong competition like Vanderpump or... Actually, I think Vanderpump is on Tuesdays, but I don't know. Nothing really big.
Maybe he ain't pumping as hard as he used to.
But NXT on a bit of a roll, and like we said previously, they've reversed position-wise, look-wise, feel-wise, where they were and where AEW was. And I think you kind of have to put them together still from the very beginning, the Wednesday Night War. NXT left to become a brand new NXT, and look at it now. So that's the NXT number.
724,000.
That is correct. Jim, AEW Dynamite on TBS, Wednesday, June 19th, 8 to 10:08 p.m. On average, 502,000 viewers.
Oh, good Lord, have mercy, Christ on a cracker.
Now, I am already hearing from people inside the company, quite frankly, saying, well, look, The Big Bang Theory wasn't the lead-in.
Well, wait, oh, come on. Wait a minute.
It was only Black Panther. It was only one of the biggest movies of all time for Marvel. It wasn't The Big Bang Theory.
The umpty-seventh airing of a sitcom from 10 or 12, however many years ago, was not our lead-in. Instead, it was a blockbuster Hollywood movie, so it cost us 200,000 people. Hello? McFly? And also now they've said the NBA Finals the last few weeks has had some impact. What else was on the other channel Wednesday night? The fucking Super Bowl?
I believe there was hockey, there was baseball on, there was a Kendrick Lamar streaming concert online. So there were other things for anyone who was looking for any reason not to watch AEW.
500, are you sure?
Well, 502,000 viewers on average. According to Brandon Thurston, WrestleNomics, new record low for a non-preempted episode, new record low in the key demo for a non-preempted episode. And then it says, note, I've confirmed independently the rating measurement is not an error. Because everyone had the same reaction. Whoa! We said they were going to catch up the Rampage. I didn't think it was going to happen the next week.
Well, where did they start and where did they finish, and who were the people involved in the program that really ran people away? Who are the raids, kills fans dead in this episode?
Well, we go now, 8 to 8:15 p.m., quarter one. Roosh versus MJF. 586,000 viewers.
Oh, what in the world?
No Big Bang Theory. It says a lot about what the Big Bang Theory means to AEW. We joke about it a lot. A lot we joke about it. It's true. Shelton's the biggest draw in AEW.
But what? I mean, it's reruns of a situation comedy that has been on before a number of times. How can this be? And then if they're watching a Big Bang Theory, why don't we know that 100,000 of them tune out normally, but not? What the fuck?
It begs the question, too, how much of the Big Bang Theory viewership is real versus DVR? But again, I don't know enough about how these are broken down to figure that out. Quarter two.
And by the way, why does anybody watch that fucking show?
The Big Bang Theory, it's the worst show ever.
Who likes any of those fucking stupid people? I want to see a triple threat. The Seinfeld cast versus the Always Sunny cast versus the Big Bang Theory cast. And then I want Seinfeld and Always Sunny to just gang up on those assholes and just kick the bloody shit out of them.
Yeah, I like Always Sunny, but I think I'm on Team Seinfeld here.
Well, that's why I said they'll just team up and kick the shit out of the other assholes.
That's a cop-out. What kind of booker are you? What kind of ending to it is that? That's horrible.
Well, it says standard triple threat fucking match. It doesn't have to make any sense. Speaking of not making any sense, where'd they go in quarter? They can't fall much further. They won't hit their fucking average.
Quarter two, 8:15 to 8:30 p.m. Roosh versus MJF continued. The post-match with the Cage of Agony. They were the Gates of Agony. Now they're called Cage of Agony. The Cage of Agony and Hechicero.
Hechichero.
Orange Cassidy and Mark Briscoe and friends backstage promo and ad break. Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland's live confrontation. 542,000 viewers.
So they put enough dreck in the middle of their three biggest stars, MJF, Swerve, and Will, that they still lost 44,000 people off of the worst start ever.
Weird question before we go any more forward here, but you may know. How often does Nielsen change the homes that it looks to? Right? Because if you're a Nielsen home, you're not necessarily that forever, are you?
No. And actually, on a local level, we used to be able to tell with the OVW numbers when they switched homes, because suddenly we'd be on a string of 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and suddenly it'd be like 0.6. What the fuck? And it was, I don't know, a period of several months. But generally, with the national samplings and et cetera, that, I mean, it's still imperfect, but that does somewhat correct itself. But no, think about this: how if it was a result of just switching the people that are being measured, it would happen more than once every 4 or 5 fucking years. So they've been chugging right along, and then suddenly, pew! That ain't just changing, pew!
By the way, someone tweeted out, on this day, we remember the time that Tim Horner suggested increasing ratings for Smoky Mountain Wrestling by going to the local electronics store and turning all the TVs to Smoky Mountain Wrestling.
Yes. Yes, and for the benefit of those of you who have not heard the story firsthand, me and Tim Horner and Sandy Scott are sitting there talking to each other the week before that our show debuts on Fox 43 in Knoxville on Sunday morning. And I made the comment, well, we can hope that every TV station in Knoxville is tuned to Fox 43 on Sunday morning. And Horner said, you know, we ought to sneak down there I can't remember what the fuck the name of the goddamn television store, but we ought to sneak down there to Joe's TV store and put all the goddamn TVs on channel 43.
The sneaking down there is an underrated part of the story. We should sneak down there.
Yeah, sneak in there.
Hey, something's happening to all the TVs. What's going on? Is it a ghost? What is
And Sandy and I looked at him, waiting for him to laugh. And he didn't. And then he looked at us, looking at him like he had turds hanging out of his mouth, and then it dawned on him that they wouldn't be able to tell anyway, would they? Anyway, quarter three.
Quarter three, 8:30 to 8:45 p.m. Continuation of Ospreay, Strickland, and Prince Nana. The Don Callis family backstage promo.
Who is it? Who's even in that family, and do they speak to each other? Where's Hobbs?
Half of Don Callis' segments are with people outside of his family now. An ad break. Roderick Strong, Konosuke Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, and Kyle Sabre Jr. versus Dante Martin, Kyle O'Reilly, Mark Briscoe, and Orange Cassidy.
Wait a minute. How many Kyles?
With picture-in-picture.
How many Kyles was in that 8-man tag team match, now that you've just rattled that off?
Kyle Fletcher and Kyle O'Reilly.
And Kyle's, you said Kyle Sabre Jr.
Did I?
What's
Zach
his name?
Sabre
What
Jr.
is Zach Sabre? See, I was going to go with it. And Kyle Sabre Jr. was in it too.
Well, why not? Why not? The American audience don't know who he is anyway. It doesn't matter. 496,000 viewers.
Oh, sweet Jesus, as Percy Pringle would say. Well, there went another 46,000 people. They've got to come back up. They can't keep dropping mathematically.
We go now to quarter four, 8:45 to 9 p.m. The continuation of the giant match I listed off before, with more picture-in-picture ads, and a Mercedes Moné video, 489,000 viewers, and 194,000 in the key demo.
And again...
So they broke 200 on Dynamite in the key demo. Wow.
This program is on every Wednesday night in this time slot. If people were watching it on purpose, they wouldn't care whether the Big Bang Theory was on beforehand or not, and they would have figured out that they were missing something that they normally enjoy by about 9 o'clock or so, an hour in, wouldn't you think? And what is it? Is the Big Bang Theory audience a bunch of paraplegics that don't have the Stephen Hawking thing on their TV remote where they can blow into it and change the channel? They're just stuck with it?
I can't speak to their audience. I'm not one of them. Jim, we go now to the big 9 o'clock hour. Quarter 5, 9 to 9:15 p.m. Roosh and Don Callis' backstage angle. The Acclaimed and Okada's ramp angle.
A ramp angle. Now they pulled that old chestnut out of vaudeville. The ramp angle.
Brandon Thurston does a very good job compiling the statistics. He does a very bad job of labeling what is an angle and what isn't.
He's not sure of the exact terminology, but we love Thurston Howell III.
And Young Bucks versus the Acclaimed with picture-in-picture. 492,000 viewers.
So at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, they stayed even with their big guns there, the big boys, the big stars.
Well, we go from that to quarter 6, 9:15 to 9:30 p.m. Samoa Joe and Hook's backstage angle. Tony Storm, Mina Shirakawa, her bosom, Mariah May, live promo angle with Saraya.
Now with Saraya.
Guest starring Saraya, Harley Cameron, Ada J. An ad break, a Claudio Castagnoli and Pac video, 523,000 viewers.
Well, there you go. You got 31,000 fans of tits.
And ass. Don't forget the ass.
And ass. There's some ass there.
It's a fucking... It's ass everywhere in AEW. But anyway.
It smells like ass every time the ratings come out. But
we go now to quarter 7, 9:30 to 9:45 p.m. Nyla Rose versus Chris Statlander with picture-in-picture. The post-match with Stokely Hathaway, Willow Nightingale, and that's it. And Willow Nightingale.
You know what? More people know who the actors are in the commercials in the ad breaks than know who a lot of these fucking people are. But go ahead.
A recap. Private Party, Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith's backstage angle, which I'm guessing is so Jericho didn't have to show up for work. And Rhett Titus versus Daniel Garcia. 498,000 viewers.
Well, at least they didn't lose all that they gained. They only lost, well, out of the 31,000, they only lost 25,000.
I remind you, there's an 8-minute overrun.
Oh, of course there is.
Quarter 8, 9:40. They literally announced it in the billboard where they show the matches and the images of the wrestlers. The last one was Overrun.
Overrun. Maybe they should term it overstay, as in overstaying your welcome.
Well, we'll find out. 9:45 to 10 p.m. Quarter 8. The post-match of Garcia versus Titus with Matt Menard. The Cage of Agony. Hechicero. MJF. Will Ospreay. And an ad break. Also, Ospreay and Cage's backstage angle. And the start of Claudio Castagnoli versus Pac with picture-in-picture. 431,000 viewers.
Oh, my
8-minute overrun, 423,000 viewers.
Oh, gee, they lost. They drove away viewers that tuned in to see the next program. So, on the positive side, they didn't lose as big a percentage of their overall audience as the audience they started with as they usually do. They only went from 586,000 to 423,000. They've done quarter hours that have lost more people than that. That's only 163,000 people. But the problem was when they were losing people, that many people in a quarter, they started with like 900 grand.
What could this be? I mean, again, the show's been bad. We haven't been surprised the ratings keep going down even with competition or without it. I'm not surprised they end up with these numbers. I'm surprised it happened this week. What do you think? I mean, again, no Big Bang Theory. And obviously, we had no idea just how important that lead-in was to this show.
Well, again, if they didn't want to watch the show when they watch the Big Bang Theory every week, if they don't want to watch the show that's on after it, then they could just change the channel. Is that the only, we might as well sit here and watch this wrestling show for a while, even though it's not something we really want to. But when Big Bang Theory isn't on, they don't miss it.
So again, we're looking at outside forces. A concert streaming, sports on other channels.
The NBA Finals didn't fucking hurt them. That was over. This was not against the NBA Finals, correct?
No, the NBA Finals are over. I mean, there's hockey still happening in baseball.
Oh, there's hockey? Oh, there's goddamn badminton, too. And I bet I don't
think they get in prime time badminton for the
They're
record.
Playing a mean game of croquet somewhere.
Again, not prime time. But unless there's a specific channel, the croquet channel. But we're looking at all these outside things it could be. Let's look. Could
it have been people were just outside? But did they just go outside and say, no, we don't want to watch television?
I like Roosh. You haven't. But even with me liking him, he hasn't been used well. He doesn't mean much to the casual viewer, whatever that may mean to whoever it may mean it to. He's in the opening thing with MJF, leading to MJF starting a feud with Hechicero. Again, another name no one knows. Orange Cassidy. I've been saying it, if not warning people for a long time. You've been saying it. It's not just what you think of him. This is 5 years of this. He's not a net positive for the show. And he drags everyone else in every segment down with him. Swerve's been booked into oblivion already. People like Ospreay, Unfortunately, you're at the point now you're waiting for them to fuck it up. You had a bunch of people in an 8-man tag out of nowhere. Just an 8-man tag to drive off another 50,000 viewers. Why? Why? Why are you dedicating your TV time just to get a bunch of people out there? And then it keeps going. Jericho wasn't even on with his stupid segment on this show. You have the women's segments, which drive people off regularly. The Young Bucks, who regularly drive people off, are in one of the main things. There's no one that actually interests people on this show.
How much money do they spend for O'Cody to sit there and say bitch in a bad accent once a week?
And Tony will say everything's great. We're all wrong. It doesn't matter how many years you've been watching wrestling or how much you know your stuff. You're wrong. Tony's right. This is good stuff. Good run of TV shows. Everything's great. What do you think TBS thinks?
What did you say?
Oh no, everything's great. Well, there it is. Everything's great.
A good run.
And
It was a good run while it lasted.
Claudio versus Pac in the main event. If you wanted that to mean anything to any fans, it should have happened like 6 years ago. I think it did in NXT way back. But that's my point. Like, what is this show? Where are the main eventers? Where are the stars? Where are the interesting things happening? You can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
Who's on whose side? Who's mad at who and why in a logical fashion? Just simple shit like that.
Boy, I'm dying to know what the story is with this rating. Again, there's a lot of things that go together. The bad booking, the lack of star power, the lack of big banging. But this is extraordinarily low.
To quote Jerry Jarrett to Robert Fuller in 1979, Robert, it can't get much worse. And to quote Robert Fuller to Jerry Jarrett, right back at him, oh, yes, it can.
According to WrestleNomics, in terms of competition, Dynamite was outranked in the key demo on cable by the College World Series on ESPN and by Expedition Unknown on Discovery.
Wait, so people watched a show where they were taking a trip to somewhere they didn't even know where they were going? And that was viewed by more people.
Well,
remember when we laughed when TNA was on Destination America and then Pop TV? And we were laughing at some of the programs that were on those various networks. Apparently, maybe now those would outrate this fine show. We got to see what next week is. Next week's got to be up.
It certainly will be. I mean, just because it can't go much lower. It can't.
Oh, yes, it can.
Right
but
now,
I don't think it will.
I would be stunned. Yeah, I would be stunned. 0.16 in the key demo. I mean, that's the one thing people always hold up. Well, they did good in the key demo. They got killed in the key demo.
That's
awful.
Right up there with a charity telethon, isn't it?
Boy. All right, well, that was the AEW Dynamite ratings review.
Ooh.
Jim, if you're a wrestler working there, or a producer hearing you snapping your fingers or whatever the fuck's happening over there.
I'm my pen here.
You may want to sue.
It's my pen. I'll sue you if you try to take my pen away from me. I'll sue you.
I'll sue you and National Pen.
You know what? I've got a lawyer, and you know what his name is?
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or two. Still sue the rest.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen to be a talented individual who has suddenly been sucked into some kind of producer's Max Bialystock scheme to create the worst show in recorded history as a way to launder some kind of money, or whatever else is going on over there, and you feel that you have been put on a television program that is seen by fewer people than the top 5 gangsters in the witness protection program, then we know who you need to call to get your rights restored, and that is the incomparable Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 877-50-STEVE, because he will cut through all the bullshit, the chit-chat, the riff-raff, and the dingleberries and get to the meat of the matter, and that is gaining you justice in a court of American law. Even if he has to take a baseball bat made of good old American pine and wear somebody out with it. Figuratively speaking, of course. Stephen P. New is the man for you. 877-50-STEVE. From California to Sarasota, Florida, and every place in between, Stephen P. New is available to fly there and rectify the situation.
That's right. He'll go to Florida. He'll go to California. He'll stop over in St. Louis.
It's right in the middle. Get some Emo's Pizza.
I got the Mets game on in the background. They're in Chicago. There are birds flying in front of the camera nonstop.
Well, that's because nobody has smartened the birds up that it's a television production. They're just going about their normal business. They're flying through the air.